All right, folks, how you doing? Russell, TrueResults303.com. Check out the website, link in the description box, Mind, Body, Spirit, Fitness. Put in the healing back in health. Once again, when you're at that website, sign up for the free newsletter. Check out those free gifts and that free gift button downloads. Nutrition, supplementation, setting goals. Hopefully those are going to help you. They can help you in any way, shape, or form, but they are geared more towards fitness. Okay? Follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Google+. Got the podcast is out now. Just did episode 15. True Results 303. No E. Don't let autocorrect get you. Okay? Coming at you today with no shame, no gain. Something along those lines, right? Or guilt, a guilty conscience. Something along those lines, you know. And I think it's really because it's election season, right? We've got Trump out there. We've got Hillary. Bernie was pushing free college forever. I was at my buddy's house last night, and it was Saturday. This is a Monday, and he was just livid, you know. Socialism sucks, and he was going crazy, you know, and I understand. The more I start to even listen to church teaching, the Catholic faith, and how the free market is beneficial, I think we've got to understand that when we, as a human, we have no shame, right? Or at least we push it back. We don't let those emotions take control of us. You know, I think we need that shameful emotion. You know, I think the negative emotions are more powerful than the positive emotions, because we see it as love, but unfortunately it's disguised as love. It's lust. But I think this is why we need shame, and unfortunately this is why, and I'm gonna get some flack for saying this, might be, hear me out here though, why we need more laws, or some might say big government. Now, I really didn't think this concept out. You know, I thought about it a couple days ago. It's just been kind of marinating in the brain. But hear me out, right? When we have no shame, we're not going to make the change, right? Like my uncle, when I used to drink a lot, I went over to his house and we were drinking it up. And he said, the only way I will ever quit smoking is if they make a law outlawing cigarettes, right? So he knows it's bad for him. It's killing him. But the only way he would stop is if they made a law saying you couldn't smoke cigarettes, right? And his ex-wife, my aunt, just had the same thing. So they both had to have surgery. My uncle had to have back surgery. My aunt had to have breast cancer surgery. So they cut him off. They told him, we're not going to perform the surgery if you don't quit smoking. So he had to be told, right? We all know it's just a bad thing to do. They said they wouldn't rebuild or reconstruct her breast if she didn't quit smoking. They said, we're going to take a blood test on the day of your surgery, and if there is any trace of nicotine in your body, we're not going to reconstruct it. We're going to eliminate it, but we're not going to reconstruct. So she had to quit. Of course, she said it was the hardest thing she had ever done in her life, but she's been almost a year free now, and she's happy. But she straight said, if I ever started smoking again, I wouldn't be able to overcome that challenge again. It was too difficult. So unfortunately, positive things happened, but they were forced to do it. And this is where it comes down to, listen to David Banner. You know, he is not David Banner. You can listen to David Banner. He's a little bit more out there. But listen to Killer Mike. Type in Killer Mike and listen to some of his interviews. They're really great. You know, and unfortunately, I think this is why, you know, we as Americans, you know, or even as Christians, you know, well, I'll go Americans, you know, we have a lot more than a lot of other countries. And unfortunately, we hoard these things, right? We hoard them. We hoard money. We hoard everything. And we don't really use it to benefit those around us, right? And then on top of that, if you're a Christian or you're a Catholic, you're supposed to be donating money. You're supposed to be helping the poor. You're supposed to be helping others, right? But unfortunately, since we have no shame, we're like, I don't care. I'm keeping it for myself, right? So why not have a tax to help kids less fortunate to go to college, because unfortunately we have no shame and we have no guilt, and we lie to ourselves and say we can't afford it, but yet we have all these cars, vacation homes, all these other things. And I understand we need some of these luxuries. You know, I've been diving into the Catholic teachings, and they've talked about, you know, how major profit is good. Because if there is massive profit, that means that you should be opening a business in that area. Why? Because if some company is making billions and billions of dollars, that means there's a lot of money to be made, which is a great thing, which means somebody else should try to create a company in that industry so they can make money. So if there's mass profits, that means that there's high demand, which means we should be trying to create a company that can also be a part of that great profit. That's the only way to lower big profits, is to create a company that can cut into another company's piece of pie, right? That's the American way. But unfortunately, like I said, with our own, with our own shame, and there's no guilt, no shame, we don't care. We don't care about the middleman. So unfortunate, or those less fortunate. And it's unfortunate. I'm guilty of it myself. I'm not, when I make these videos, I tell everybody, I'm calling myself out too. Okay? I'm calling myself out too. Sorry, I was getting a text message. I don't know if that popped up in the video. But, so unfortunately, sometimes we need these taxes. And I know people, I guess if we could come together as a people and just realize that we need to be doing this and do more of it, maybe we wouldn't need the taxes. But unfortunately, we as the person have been so corrupted that we're not playing our part. So I don't know what you think about that. What are your thoughts? And let me know. Throw something in the comment box. I think it's just unfortunate that we are, we have such a great opportunity as Americans, not only to succeed, but to help the less fortunate. And unfortunately, we're not doing our part, I don't think. And I'm guilty of it myself. So like I said, this is why these taxes could be good. These taxes could be bad. It's going to go either way. I think it's just time for us as the people to step up and do these things. And I know we do. I have this conversation with my buddy all the time. The American people donated more to Haiti or whatever, China, Japan, whatever tragedy than the actual government did themselves. But isn't that the unfortunate thing? We only do those things in times of need. Like they say I think it was when the Orlando shooting happened, there were lines down the block for blood drives, right? My cousin's a nurse here in Colorado. She just came out and said, people need to go to the blood banks here in Colorado. The blood banks are in dire need. But nobody goes. We only go when there's a tragedy. That should be our civil duty. We should be doing it. I understand if you have tattoos like I do, it's not going to happen. But it should be our duty to be doing these things. But we're not. So unfortunately, sometimes we need these laws and things to be set in place because we're not going to do what's right. Sometimes we just don't care. Right? You're going to drink yourself to death. You're going to smoke yourself to cancer. You're going to eat yourself to cancer because we just don't care anymore. We're too dysfunctional. So it's either, unfortunately, we need these laws because we're not doing the right thing, or we as humans need to man up and just be humans and follow the way Jesus taught. Or if you're an atheist, just truly help those around us. What happened? We're losing this concept of community. And it's because we have no shame. We have no guilty conscience. It's like when my cousin goes to a confession, when I can get him to go. We rarely go. But he says, sorry, I got another text message. But he says, when I go to confession, I like to sit face to face with the priest instead of kneeling behind the screen. Because I want him to look me right in my eye. I want to feel the shame and the guilt. I want it. Because if I hide behind a screen, to me, it's no different. But if I can actually see him just like, kind of giving that look like, dang, that, whatever. But once again, we just gotta, I think we need to focus more on the negative feelings, if that makes sense in a certain way, than those positive feelings. That's the only time I think emotion is great. That's the only time I really feel that emotion can be good. And then of course we've just got to understand our emotions in general and what they truly mean. But we're at the 10-minute mark. So once again, I hope this helps. Don't forget to like the social media pages, True Results 303, no E, Facebook, Twitter, Google Plus. Podcast is out there as well. Search this channel a little bit more. We got fitness videos, nutritional videos, self-help videos, spiritual videos, things like that. So once again, subscribe to this YouTube channel, share this stuff on your social media platforms, and then, share and like these videos.